call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Well, can you really hope for a jam-packed show this time of year? It is July 24th. We're in the dog days, folks. But rest assured, this show is going to be as jam-packed as we can reasonably make it today on a Thursday. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. The show brought to you by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. And, of course, the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is always available to you at 405-651-3439. For those that aren't aware, and I know Tyler McComas was there, the OU football coaches luncheon was earlier today, so there was an opportunity for those in attendance to hear from Ben Arbuckle, Todd Bates, and, of course, Brent Venables.
Who still can't pronounce Cortland Guillory's name.
Did he do it again?
He called him Gilleroy again.
Oh, my goodness. Were you listening in?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why you haven't seen me until just now.
Well, I wondered. I showed up to the station at 11. See, the coaches' luncheon, I don't know why this is. It sneaks up on me every single year. I wake up morning, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's happening. It snuck up on me again this year. So I guess I probably should have clued into the reality that something was afoot when I rolled up to the station this morning and there were virtually no cars in the parking lot except for Steely's. But, yes, that makes a lot of sense. So, shoot. I will cede the floor for a moment here. You tell me, you tell us what you took away from the coach's luncheon.
A lot of excitement, as there should be. It's interesting, I think, hearing Ben Arbuckle talk about how John Mateer ingratiated himself with the program. And I said this last week on the heels of SEC Media Day, but this dude seems like a dude who's been in the program for 3+ years. He doesn't seem like a dude who's been at Oklahoma for the 6-7 months. And I think the way that he's gone about becoming a leader, I'll tell you this. Todd Bates came up with an acronym for John Mateer.
Oh, of course he did.
Making an attempt to earn everyone's respect. And I thought that was a bar. And it's interesting that I hear that a week after what I took away from SEC Media Day. Now, look, I don't know if it's going to translate to spectacular things on the field. I'm on the record saying I think he's going to be a good SEC quarterback. Anything above that remains to be seen. But he's a dude that has command right now. He's got command. He has earned the respect of everybody. And the fact that all those coaches view that Michigan game as an opportunity, and they didn't say this, but it's going to be a litmus test on September 6th. So it was really cool to hear what they had to say, but John Mateer continues to be a major takeaway anytime I hear people speak around the University of Oklahoma.
John Mateer is the most prominent storyline for Oklahoma football, him and Ben Arbuckle. You know, it's interesting. You can't really dissociate the two. Right? Yes, they come in together, but when you really think about it, I don't think there's a universe where we are talking after the 2025 season about how one or the other had a successful inaugural campaign in Oklahoma. It's both and. Either John Mateer is going to have success in conjunction with Ben Arbuckle, or they're going to fall flat on their collective face. Now, obviously, the hope and the expectation is that it is the former as opposed to the latter. But I don't know whether we've had a situation like this, and obviously the portal era is only about 5 years old, but has an offensive coordinator, has any singular position coach ever been as inextricably linked to another player in terms of their fate, in terms of their level of success at Oklahoma, as Ben Arbuckle is with John Mateer?
Oh, at Oklahoma?
Uh-huh.
Probably not, no.
There's so much riding on John Mateer's performance this fall. And I will say this. It's useful to have a guy like Michael Hawkins with P4 starting experience, albeit not very much of it, waiting in the wings. Because Anybody who has seen the good from Michael Hawkins knows that's a guy that has a tremendously high ceiling. And this, I was having a conversation with a program source last night who discussed, hey, look, what we've told Michael Hawkins, what we've communicated to Michael Hawkins repeatedly over the course of the offseason is, dude, you better prepare as if you are the starter. You better be ready to go into the game at any given moment, because John Mateer doesn't play like Tom Brady. If you think back to the pocket passers of days gone by, like Tom Brady, the only way those guys were going to get hurt is if exactly what happened to Tom Brady in 2008 happened.
Yes.
When Bernard Pollard rolled up on his knee. John Mateer
can get hurt 1,000 different ways.
Yes, he can. That dude plays a reckless style of football. And I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily. I think that's more of a good thing. That's what you want from a guy that's coming in with the hope and the expectation of helping save everyone's jobs in 2025 and resurrecting a program that has fallen upon some black days as of late. But that's just reality when you're dealing with a guy like John Mateer. The way that he plays the game, it's entirely realistic that Michael Hawkins makes a start or two for Oklahoma, or you need him in some sort of extended capacity because, and I know we talked about this earlier in the offseason, Grayson, but it's worth mentioning again. The last time Oklahoma got through a season without using their backup quarterback in meaningful situations was the Jalen Hurts year in 2019. Every year since, Oklahoma has required more than one quarterback to get across the finish line.
Which has necessitated them keeping 3 or 4 on the roster as well, to go back to that conversation. But Jalen Hurts was such a dude that is built so superiorly to most quarterbacks that you can't even really use that as the barometer. That has to be the outlier. So yeah, it is imperative that Michael Hawkins not only prepares, but goes about his business as if he is going to make 2 or 3 starts. Because like we just laid out, the way John Mateer plays with his hair on fire, it's his style of play is even more perilous than Baker Mayfield's was. It's almost reminiscent of Kyler Murray, except Kyler, A, knew how to slide from his baseball background, so he knew how to protect himself better than I think John Mateer does. And Kyler was fast as hell.
Yes, he was. And Mateer's he's a physically big dude.
He's not a small guy, no.
Yeah, he's capable of taking on contact. It's not like you worry about that guy taking a hit and shattering into a million pieces, right? But are the hits going to add up? Because they always do for a quarterback with that style of play.
And a guy with his mentality, too, who knows if he wants to duck the wrong shoulder into a situation.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy from Memphis on the text line asks, is there any chance Michael Hawkins redshirts this season? I would say, look, in an ideal world, yes, Michael Hawkins redshirts this season. But just as you're going to be willing to deviate from those plans, or I should say you're going to have to be willing to deviate from those plans just as you were last year when the plan was obviously for Michael Hawkins to redshirt, and that couldn't happen because of Jackson Arnold's ineffectiveness in that Tennessee game and the flashes of brilliance that Hawkins showed thereafter. So, yeah, I would say the status quo suggests that Hawkins just takes a red shirt and develops for another year underneath Mateer in this offense. But the reality of the situation is that Mateer plays a real reckless style of football, and it's going to be fun to watch, but that means you better have a capable backup waiting in the wings. And Oklahoma does in Michael Hawkins, but I think that's also part of the reason they went and grabbed another experienced starting quarterback in the spring portal in Whit Neubauer. Contingency plans for your contingency plans. Because some of Oklahoma's worst football throughout the Brent Venables era has been played when there is uncertainty at the quarterback position. That is indisputably the one position that you have to have figured out. A 580 listener asks, any word on Andy Bass?
We haven't brought up that name in a minute.
It's funny. We actually talked extensively about Andy Bass last night on OU Insider Live because we got a super chat question about Andy Bass. He's doing he's obviously re-injured that knee in December, had to have another surgery on that knee. But he's doing fine. He's a physical specimen. He comes from a family that is very well-versed in all things physical fitness and recovery and rehab. So if there's one guy that you trust is going to be able to get back to 100% after undergoing all that Andy Bass has undergone injury-wise, it is him. And so I don't think you necessarily worry about him being a shell of himself whenever he is back to full speed at the University of Oklahoma. But I'm also not under the impression he's going to play a whole heck of a lot in 2025 just because that running back room is so deep. It's funny. We have a bunch of texters on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line asking questions about individual players, which I love.
Texter in
Gosh,
the
they're starting to
405
stack up.
says, how is Kendall Dolby doing after the injury? No one has really talked about him.
It's funny. So I talked to a source in the building last night that was raving about Kendall Dolby. And I will say, for anybody who was at the Crimson Combine, I mean, it was noticeable. With everything they were putting Kendall Dolby through, you would not have imagined looking at that guy. If you knew any better, you would not have imagined that guy had just had surgery on a dislocated ankle, 6 months prior? He looked awesome at the Crimson Combine. Did not look like a guy that was suffering from any residual inhibitions because of his injury. And the source I talked to last night said, that dude is an incredible football player. And he has been incredible in terms of the way that he's attacked his rehab and checked every single box and just been a program-first guy. And not only that, but really taking it upon himself to be ready for whatever this program might throw at him this fall, which is going to consist of not only playing Cheetah, Grayson, but he's going to play some outside corner as well.
And he should be prepared to play some outside corner because we have no idea how Gentry Williams is going to hold up. And if you have to work Gentry Williams back in. So the versatility that he presents is going to be a re-addition to this defense. By the way, Brent Venables called Kendall Dolby a midget. I don't know if are we supposed to say that?
I think you can say that on the radio.
Yeah, he did call him that at the coach's luncheon today.
What was the context?
Raving about Kendall Dolby.
Okay, so it was like all good things.
I feel like the way he was talking about it made it sound like he had like short guy syndrome. You know what I'm talking about?
I suppose so. Short guy syndrome.
He said he plays like he's like 7 feet tall.
Well, I mean, that's good.
I mean, and he
Like
does play a lot bigger.
Yeah, he
than
does.
He
And that's the reason why he's been able to make it stick at Cheetah, because that position traditionally has required more of a linebacker archetype
exactly
in Venables' defense.
1,000%.
Glenn from Nashville says, wait, what? Bass re-injured his knee in December? Where the heck have I been? Yes, so he actually injured his knee while he was helping Oklahoma prepare for the Navy game. He was playing the role of Blake Horvath for the scout team, and he re-injured his knee. It was just kind of a freak thing. Yeah, it was just kind of a freak thing. It wasn't like somebody hit him when they weren't supposed to hit him or something along those lines. But, yeah, just kind of a freak accident on the practice field. I can't recall whether it was light contact or non-contact or whatever it was. But, yeah, he's fine. Had to undergo a little cleanup procedure from what I recall in the aftermath. But he's fine. He's going to be ready. If he has to contribute this season, he will. But I think that running back room is deep enough that you can probably keep Andy Bass on the shelf for another year and ease him back in gradually. We got an Ivan Carrion question on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Ivan Carrion, man, I feel like he and Zion Kearney tend to be the forgotten men in that wide receiver group. The good news, I think, here's what I would posit. I think some are going to regard it as a disappointment if they don't see a ton of Ivan Carrion and Zion Kearney this fall. Well, those two guys regressed. You have to keep in mind, those guys were never supposed to be on the field last year. There was no world that seemed to be realistic where you were trotting out Ivan Carrion and Zion Kearney to take starter snaps for Oklahoma in 2024 as true freshmen. But the circumstances necessitated that. And so I am of the opinion that they will play roles for Oklahoma. And I would stop short of calling those roles minimal, but I don't think those are 30, 40 catch guys for Oklahoma this fall because of how much experience and how much depth Oklahoma has with guys like Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania and Keontez Lewis and Giovanni Gibbs. And frankly, like a guy like Elijah Thomas is probably going to be undeniable at some point. Like, you're not keeping that guy off the field forever.
There was an audience question during the coach's luncheon to Coach Arbuckle about the receivers that are coming back and what he thinks about those guys that he's inherited. The first name that came out of his mouth was predictably Deion Burks. The second name was Zion Kearney. And he said he's been empowering Zion Kearney. He was like, dude, you're 6'2", 215. You know, like, you've got skills and you've got the ingredients to become a really good player. And it's just waiting for all of that to come around and come together. But Ben Arbuckle really, really likes Zion Kearney.
As he dang well should. There's a lot to like. He's a very complete wide receiver in terms of the skill set. He's got a, like, in my mind, it's just more of an experience thing. Like, get more polished, get more seasoned. He and everybody else in that youth group in Oklahoma's receiver room last year, him, Reagans, Ivan Carrion as well, they were all kind of rushed along, and that's a double-edged sword, right? That can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. I think come 2026, Zion Kearney has the opportunity. He's going to have the chance to be a real force in the Oklahoma offense. I think he's probably taken a back seat to some of those more experienced guys in 2025, though. Okay, we just covered a lot of ground with regard to the team, I suppose, this segment. Didn't talk a lot of recruiting, but hey, that's okay. I did book us a surprise guest for the next segment. We're going to have Brody Lusk on the not the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We can't do a text interview with Brody Lusk. That would be pretty impractical. We're going to have him on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line to talk a little bit of OU hoops recruiting, because hoops recruiting is heating up right now, even though football recruiting has become a little bit stagnant here in late July. So we'll get Brody on the horn to talk some OU hoops recruiting and what Porter Moser and his staff are doing, what they have in the works on the other side. You're listening to Locked In here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it here.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
Beat the heat at Hey Pickle Pickle, Heyday Entertainment's brand new pickleball facility. With 5 indoor courts, Oklahoma summer won't be able to stop you from getting your game on. Learn more at heypicklefun.com, and remember, drink responsibly.
Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino, where good grooves and great food are on tap all summer long. Join us August 9th for Kansas and Starship.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations, so you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
The City of Norman encourages you to shop small this summer. What better place to eat, shop, and play local than historic Main Street in downtown Norman? With over 65 years of experience, Mr. Robert Fine Furniture and Design stands for quality. Family owned in the heart of Norman, their exquisite showroom is filled with unique items from around the globe. The historic Sooner Theater is a summer staple and a must-see downtown. See great local theater, concerts, or attend performing arts classes. Find upcoming events and tickets at SoonerTheater.org. Visit Oklahoma's premier art gallery specializing in Native American, Oklahoman, and Western art. Find original art, pottery, jewelry, made in Oklahoma products, and so much more at Tribes Gallery on Main Street in the heart of Norman. Join the City of Norman and keep it local this summer when you eat, shop, and play in downtown Norman.
Hey Sooner fans, it's almost football season, and there's no better time to gear up than right now at Balfour of Norman, your locally owned headquarters for all things Sooner. Whether you're searching for your new lucky game day polo, tee, or hat, we've got you covered from top brands like Nike, Jordan, and Tommy Bahama. Looking to take your tailgate or watch party up a notch? Check out our great selection of OU glassware, flags, and serving pieces. Come support local, stock up on Sooner style, and get ready to yell Boomer Sooner, only at Balfour of Norman, where Sooner spirit lives year-round.
Summer just got better with Heyday Entertainment. Join us for bowling, mini golf, laser tag, and so much more. And check out Hey Pickle Pickle, our brand new pickleball facility. Learn more at heydayfun.com. Heyday, where you choose your fun.
Paul Bear Bryant became a coaching legend during his years at Texas A&M and decades at Alabama, but he received his first SEC head coaching job at the University of Kentucky in 1946. He coached at Kentucky through 1953 before departing for A&M. And in the 8 seasons as the Wildcats head coach, he recorded 60 wins and won the 1950 SEC championship with an 11-1 record.
It is Kentucky Team Takeover Day here on the Ref. Brought to you by Landers CDJR. When you choose Landers Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Norman, you're not just getting a great vehicle, you're supporting a dealership that cares about the community. Landers CDJR, where community and commitment drive us forward. Check them out at LandersCDJRNorman.com. Mr. Singleton, do we have Brody Lusk on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line?
We do have the even younger whippersnapper than I am. What's up, Brody?
He is the youngest member of the crew today. How about that? It's not often we can say that about a guest on our show.
No.
Brody, how we feeling?
Oh, man, it's feeling great, man.
Love to hear it. Well, obviously, bring us up to speed. For those that aren't familiar, Brody does a tremendous job covering all things OU basketball and recruiting at OUinsider.com. And, Brody, it certainly feels as though the hoops recruiting scene is starting to heat up a little bit for Oklahoma. I know a new offer just went out earlier this afternoon. Porter Moser and his staff have been busy. You had Peach Jam earlier this month, which is obviously a huge event in the basketball recruiting world. So just kind of give us an overview. Bring us up to speed on what the last couple months have consisted of for Porter Moser and that OU basketball staff since we touched base with you last.
Yeah, first thing I'll say is, they've done a really impressive job setting themselves up in position to have a really good class. I'll say this, of the 10 guys that they are, I would say, targeting the most, 8 of those guys land in the top 50 right now in recruiting rankings. And so they're in on a lot of top guys. That probably starts with Dylan Mingo, who's a top 5 player in the class. And so Oklahoma is, I think what you've seen is they've done a really good job capitalizing on having Jeremiah Fears get drafted 7th overall in the draft and really using what Fears was able to come into Oklahoma and do as a freshman and pitch that to other top players in the class. And so they've done a really good job targeting top guys and really getting in on a lot of players. A lot of players ranked, top 25 to top 45, they're really in on. And I think, over at Peach Jam, they were really able to really identify who their top targets in the class are going to be. A lot of kids that were standing out. And I think they've done a really good job making some offers for some players that have really been stock risers recently. I mean, you think of Luka Foster, who Justin Scott, the new Oklahoma assistant coach who came over from St. Joe's, he actually offered Foster back in September of 2023 to St. Joe's. And Foster was, unrated at the time. Now he's a top 50 player, and he got offered by Coach Scott to Oklahoma in May. And so that's a kid that might end up as a top 30 player in the class. And so I think what you've seen is one, obviously Coach Scott has came in and really made an impact on the recruiting trail, and just the staff as a whole has done a really good job getting in with a lot of top guys.
We've talked a lot on the topic of football recruiting, how Oklahoma's not going to have a whole lot, if any, representation from the state of Oklahoma in the 2026 class on the football side. On the basketball side, Oklahoma has been going after the top prospect in the state, and that is Jalen Montanati from Owasso. Where do they stand with him as of this moment in time?
Yeah, I think they stand actually in a really good spot. Dare I say Oklahoma is the leader for him right now. The thing is, though, I think he does have a visit scheduled for September 6th. I would say that visit is somewhat up in the air because, right now Oklahoma has, a lot of options at wing. And so I think now it's a little bit of a toss-up. Do they fully pursue Jalen Montanati, or do they focus on someone like a Luka Foster, someone like a Billy White, or someone like a Bryson Howard? So, I do think it is a sign of the times that Oklahoma does have actually other options to pursue right now. And so right now it does seem that they're, going through the process of evaluating which player at wing to pursue the most, because I'll say this, both Montanati and Foster, two wings, have visits scheduled for September 6th on the same date. And so it's definitely something to monitor, who ends up taking the visit or not. But with Montanati, I would say right now it does seem like it's Oklahoma, followed by K-State, and then Oklahoma State right there.
Drew from Flower Mound with a listener question for you via the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Brody. Who are some DFW kids we're going after? Anybody down in that Dallas-Fort Worth area that Oklahoma has kind of put a red eye on?
Yeah, I would say Bryson Howard. He's from Frisco. That's someone that was, not in the top 100 going into this spring, and he has blown up in just about every single school has offered him. Oklahoma was one of the first few, Power 5 teams to offer him. However, I think it's getting to the point where he might just be too good. He's the top player in the state of Texas right now. Probably will end up, top 15 player. Houston and Texas, the two in-state teams, are doing a really good job there. And then you have like the Kansas and Dukes and North Carolinas of the world. So I think that's probably going to be a little bit too insurmountable for Oklahoma. Tam Lomax, another Frisco kid, he's actually going to Oak Cliff to play this season. He's someone that I would keep an eye on, point guard. And then Dakari Spear, that's another one. Those are the three DFW kids that they're on right now.
A couple of weeks ago, you reported that the coaching staff had made contact and were in the process of trying to set up a visit with five-star point guard Dylan Mingo. What is the latest in their pursuit of Mingo? Is that still something that the Sooners are trying to get done, or is that a situation that has passed Oklahoma by?
Yeah. And first, I'll say this with Mingo: like watching him play, if any like people who watch basketball consistently, if you watch Mingo play, you're going to see shades of SGA. That's just, you can't miss it. Not saying, he's going to be the next SGA, but this, he does have those type of shades. I mean, 6'6" point guard. He is absolutely ready to come into college and lead a team and be the guy on a team. And that's what he wants to do. That's been one of the things that he's talked about, is wanting to come in his freshman year and start at point guard and be, one of the top guys on a team. That is something that Oklahoma can really use their, Jeremiah Fears pitch to their advantage. They are still pursuing Mingo very heavily. And, at this point, it does seem like they're going to get an official visit. Now, the problem is there'll probably be about 6-7 other schools that will get official visits as well. So we'll see. But I think the thing for me has always been, with a top 5 prospect like Mingo, if you get them on campus, then we can have that conversation. So right now I think it's about a, 60 to 70% chance that they'll get him on campus. And so, yeah, I mean, they're still definitely actively pursuing him. That would be, it would be a great sign for them if they're able to get him in for a visit. And I do think that there's a good chance that happens.
Brody, this is always something I want to check in with you about. So every time we have you on, I just ask you to give us the update on it all. But it can be confusing to the casual OU basketball fan. Can you kind of break down the roster math with us? I know a case such as that of C.J. Nixon, for instance, can cause some confusion as to what those numbers stack up as.
Yeah. So they have 14 on the roster right now. And that's up in the air because C.J. Nixon is not with the basketball team. He's with the football team. So, I'm told that it is kind of up in the air if Nixon will play basketball or not. Obviously, it's never ideal to have a member, of your 15 roster spots that can't join your team until December or maybe even late December. And so, if they still have that spot, it does seem as if Nixon, would join the team, and that would give them 15. And because, again, your walk-ons do count towards the roster limit this year with the new rule. Last year they had over 15. They had about 17, I think, 17. And, they could do that. They could get away with that. This year you can't. And so right now they technically could add another player to that roster. It just does not seem as if that's going to happen because, there's really no need at this point because, they kind of have everything that they need, and adding someone else would just be adding someone that's not going to play. So it does seem as if the plan right now, and it's been very back and forth whether or not Nixon's going to play. But, right now it seems like they have 14 locked in. That 15th spot, if Nixon, wants to and they want him to, he would play basketball and he would join the team once the football season has ended. That's how that would work.
You mentioned back when I asked you about Jalen Montanati, about the weird dynamic with him and Luka Foster and the fact that OU has a lot of options at wing. Do some of the guys not care as much about the number of wings just because in today's basketball, this the same as I do, almost everybody, unless you're a true center or a true point guard, is a flexible wing. So the fact that basketball is mostly played with 2D, 3 and D wings, does that kind of resonate with those guys? Is it a numbers game? Is it a fit game in terms of getting these guys on visits and hopefully trying to get them committed together?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because you definitely could, especially Luka Foster at 6'6", he's a little bit more of a 2. And so you really could take both wings or multiple wings, especially with how it is in today's game. However, it's very clear they want a point guard, and it's very clear that they want someone to occupy a front court spot, whether that be a center. And I'll say with center, Oklahoma is in on top 2 center in the class, Ethan Taylor, up from he's in Missouri this year, so they are in on him. Kansas State, Kansas, and Missouri are also in there, but I do think there's a good chance they get a visit from top 25 center. So they're in there, but it's pretty clear they want to take a point guard and a center. And so then, you probably take one wing just because I don't see them taking 4 in 2026. The number that's, always been thrown has been 3 in 2026, similar to how they took 3 last year. And so, yeah, I mean, they could take 2 wings. They did last year, and Grace Holson, Alec Blair are both wings. But this class, I think it definitely seems like only one wing spot just because they want to take a point guard and a center.
One final question for you, Brody, and then we'll let you go. It comes from Mark and Blanchard on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Is Denton Forsyth, Dayton's younger brother, being looked at by OU? What's the latest on that situation?
Yeah, Denton Forsyth he's had a summer. Picked up a lot of offers recently. However, I just think right now with where OU's at, I think there could be a time in the future where they go to that well and start to pursue Denton Forsyth. They're obviously looking at him, just because he's an in-state kid, brother of Dayton Forsyth. But right now, I think Miles Sadler is going to be your priority target at point guard. And then you obviously have Dylan Mingo at point guard. And then you have Cam Lomax, who I'd say is kind of below the other two on the totem pole right now. Miles Sadler had just a phenomenal showing at Peach Jam. And I'll say this, Porter Moser was, it's not often when these coaches go watch these players play that the head coach will just watch one player over and over and over and over again. but Porter Moser was in for like all 8 of Sadler's games. I mean, he was in the gym about every single time. And this is a top 25 point guard who was just very impressive at Peach Jam. So I think just because, you're very in on him, they're going to get a visit from him September 21st, I believe. And then you're somewhat in on Mingo and you're in on Lomax. I think that's why they have not really pursued Denton Forsythe yet. But if they were to miss on some of those guys, I definitely could see them going to Denton Forsythe. But Denton Forsythe, he's going to have a bright future wherever he ends up. I certainly could see him going to one of these G5 schools and just tearing it up and being one of those kids that transfers up into, a Power 5 conference and makes a lot of money doing that and, is one of the highly coveted transfers on the portal. So, so right now I think it's just because they're in on, a lot of these top 30, top 40 guys that's the reason they're not pursuing Forsythe at the moment.
Brody Lusk, the authority on OU basketball and hoops recruiting over at OUinsider.com, does a tremendous job covering the program, and he is a friend of this program here on The Ref. Always enjoy having him on. Brody, thank you so much for the time. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Yep, thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is 405-651-3439. Let's flip back over to football recruiting coming up next. A couple interesting topics that I want to dig into. One regarding a particular storyline in the 2026 cycle. Another regarding a storyline in the 2027 cycle. We'll dive into both of those on the other side. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Stay here.
Bleed Crimson? Love great Sooner talk? Join the Ref Army by downloading our free app. Toby and TJ, Plank and Josh, Steelman and Thune, and Teddy and Tyler. We have the Sooner experts. The Ref is home to Sooner fans worldwide.
At Meals on Wheels of Norman, we deliver more than just meals. We deliver connection, compassion, and care to homebound seniors right here in our community. But we need your help. Volunteer drivers are the heart of what we do, and just a little of your time can make a big impact. Join our team, make a difference. Visit MealsOnWheelsNorman.com or contact us at 405-321-7272 to sign up as a volunteer and start serving smiles today.
Landmark Fine Homes is a custom home builder in Oklahoma City. Our commitment is to build energy-efficient, custom-quality crafted homes around the metro OKC area. If you are looking to build your first home or last, Landmark Fine Homes is the builder for you. We have many floor plans to choose from, or bring us one that you already have. We have communities throughout the metro, or we will build on your lot. Call 405-347-5991 and let Landmark Fine Homes help turn your dreams into a reality.
Life can be complicated, but saving money shouldn't be. At OU Federal Credit Union, they make saving simple and stress-free. The best part? They have no hidden fees. Joining OUFCU means you're in control of your financial future. Whether it's a rainy day fund or saving for that dream vacation, they've got you covered. Visit OUFCU.com or come by one of their branches today. OU Federal Credit Union, where savings is simple and dreams come true. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by the NCUA.
Greetings from Cavender Subaru of Norman, where our lineup of new and pre-owned vehicles comes with something extra, a team that treats you like family from day one. And with expert technicians and service advisors, we'll get your Subaru back on the road or perform regular maintenance no matter the make or model. That's what you'll find here. Every visit, every time. Visit us online or at 3305 Corporate Center Drive, Cavender Subaru of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership, where confidence is Cavender.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Get on board. The water is open. It's time to go boating and fishing and leave stress in our wake. Feel the wind as we ride and a fish on the line. Reel in our first catch and feel the sun at our backs. It's get out on the water season. It's time to get on board. Find out where to get on board near you. Visit Take Me Fishing and Discover Boating to learn more. And please recreate responsibly.
Get on board. Get on board.
In Iraq, our truck hit a roadside bomb. I had about 16 surgeries on my hand so that I could regain function. And when I came home, I needed a new roof due to a storm. And I was about to lose homeowners insurance as well. I applied for Operation Homefront Critical Financial Assistance Program. And it's good to know that when we come home, there are people who are there that care about us. Operation Homefront, they've really been a blessing.
Visit OperationHomefront.org to learn more.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref. The Oklahoma Sooner fans, Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you on a Thursday, winding towards the weekend. A couple things I wanted to get to on the football recruiting front before we wrapped up. The first being the recruitment of Elijah Golden. And this is a process, Grayson, that's coming down to Notre Dame and Oklahoma in the final days. And he's going to commit on August 9th, so we're about 2 weeks out from knowing where Elijah Golden is going to attend college. We've talked a ton about Davian Gross. We've talked a ton about Jake Krell. Might I ask this? Do you think there is enough emotional energy on the fan base's part being invested into the Elijah Golden recruitment? Because quite frankly, this to me might be every bit as consequential as Gross and or Krell, simply because of the reality that Oklahoma needs to reload at defensive tackle soon here. Because you're going to have Dominic Williams and Grayson Halton graduating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a very realistic chance, and you hope this doesn't happen, but there's a very realistic chance Jaden Jackson and or David Stone are 3 and gone, 3 and out type of guys, that they play college football for 3 years and they're off to the NFL draft. The Sooners have Brian Harris committed, and he's a good player. It's a valuable pickup at defensive tackle, but he's the only one right now. So in terms of necessity, I might actually argue that Elijah Golden feels like more of a necessity for Oklahoma right now than Gross or Krell. Now, I would say Gross and Krell are better players overall than Golden, and that's probably why their recruitments have become the A1 and A2 talking points in the OU recruiting realm as of late. But Golden's recruitment is critically important for Todd Bates and the staff.
Golden's recruitment is more consequential than maybe Krell's. I don't think it's more consequential than Gross's, because we have talked at length about how many wide receivers are in this class, or to put it better, how many aren't in this class. So I think Gross is still a gross necessity, no pun intended. but he is. I mean, that cannot be overstated. In terms of the emotional energy being put into the Elijah Golden recruitment, here's my response to that. Do they have any emotional energy left? And look,
never underestimate this fan base's ability to expend additional emotional energy.
You and I are probably culpable in this too, but this 2026 recruiting cycle has taken some people through the gauntlet in terms of twists and turns and unforeseen circumstances and turns of events that have happened. So, look, if you are just checked out of 2026 recruiting, God bless you. You're not going to hear a word from me. But, no, Elijah Golden is a guy that you have to have because of what you just laid out. And when you asked the question, I thought of it exactly. Two guys have no choice but to go on to the next level. And you've got a couple who may leave early. You have to reload. And it's also a thing with the defense, too, because outside of the defensive backfield, linebacker and defensive line is something that you're going to lose a lot of numbers in here really quickly. So it is imperative that they've pretty much done what they need to do at linebacker. You would like one more, but defensive line, especially defensive tackle, boy, you got to get golden. This is one of those things where if it comes down to a money thing, you might have to sweeten the pot just because of the sheer number of guys that you could be losing in the coming years.
We shall see whether Oklahoma can overcome Notre Dame, who's been the longtime leader in the Elijah Golden recruitment. And the Sooners have had momentum, no question about it. But still feels like there's some work to be done in advance of that August 9th commitment. The other thing I wanted to dig into is that one of the constant realities for Oklahoma football over the years is that they are firmly planted at some of the biggest high schools in Texas. Now, there's some ebb and flow as to which high schools OU is heavily tied into. For instance, as of late, one of them has been Denton Guyer. There are 3 Guyer alumni currently on the roster at Oklahoma, the Bowen brothers and Josiah Martin. Jackson Arnold was, of course, a Denton Guyer product as well, though he is no longer at OU. He was on the roster for the last 2 seasons. In the 2027 class, as we look ahead a little bit, and we will start looking ahead in the weeks to come in a little bit more detail into the 2027 class, but there are 3 Oklahoma offers and 3 guys that really, really like Oklahoma individually that all come from Southlake Carroll High School, Quinn Ewer's alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time OU rostered a Carroll Dragon? Oh, I'm stupid. They have one on the roster right now, Jacob Jordan. Jacob Jordan was a Southlake Carroll grad. I believe he is the only one as of right now. But 4-star wide receiver Brody Knowles, 4-star offensive lineman Tristan Dare, and 3-star offensive lineman Luke Wilson. All OU offer guys. You had a chance to dig into a little bit of the tape earlier. Mm-hmm. What do you like about that trio?
Before I get to that, Drew from Flower Mound just absolutely had something happen in his life that happens to me on the weekly. Whew, just absolutely sped by a cop, but he pulled over the other person. OU's going undefeated.
You said that happens to you weekly?
That happens to me all the time. I speed a little bit. I speed a little bit, and I'll just go by a cop, and I'm like, oh, crap, here we go. And then he doesn't make a move, and I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you, Lord. Anyway, back to the Dragons. Brody, as his last name just slips my head.
Brody
Knowles. Almost called him Brody Wilson. Brody Knowles is interesting because when I watched his film, he reminded me kind of a lot of Dallas Dickerson. Now, Brody Knowles is not because
all white receivers are the same.
Not because
okay.
I'll get to why. I'll get to why in a second. And if you remember my analysis of Dallas Dickerson, it'll sound familiar. But he's not as fast as Dickerson, but he's a lot taller. He's 6'5". Mm-hmm. He's 6'5", 190. Excellent basketball player too. Plays for one of the AAU teams I played against in high school, Drive Nation. But what reminds me about Dallas Dickerson is his contested catch ability. He has strong hands at the catch point, and he's very physical at the catch point. Why is that important? It means that you don't have to rely solely on separation, and he's more prone to being open to a quarterback getting in the ball. He is an excellent route runner. He is a phenomenal route runner. And when I watch him and when I watch the 2 tackles, Dare and Wilson, you see the coaching that's going on at Southlake Carroll. Because these dudes, the tackles are not as polished yet, but they're really big, really strong players, and they move well. And they do so many things that are next level that you can only point to the coaching at Southlake Carroll. So you're going to get guys, if you're able to get them in tow, who have been excellently coached. They've been developed very well for the high school level, and they might be, in terms of a mental standpoint, steps ahead of other guys because of the instruction that they got in high school.
A 405 listener would like to know, is Brody Knowles just as sneaky athletic
No.
as Dallas Dickerson?
No, he's not. He's not sneaky athletic. That's an athletic dude.
He's really freaking tall, too. I don't know what he's listed as, but having
6'5".
Yeah, having seen him in person on multiple occasions, he is every bit of 6'5". And feels like he may still be growing, too. So
it could be another Ivan Carrion situation.
It could be. Yeah, just a jumbo pass catcher where maybe you put him at wide receiver, maybe you put him at tight end, maybe just Don't even designate him with a position. Just throw him out there in the slot. Let him create matchup nightmares once he gets to the University of Oklahoma. But, yeah, to me, really interesting dynamic there because Carroll is not a school that Oklahoma has been in outside of, picking up Jacob Jordan as a preferred walk-on for some time. I can't recall prior to Jacob Jordan when the last Southlake Carroll Sooner would have been or who that would have been. A 580 listener asks, in relevance to the Elijah Golden conversation, why doesn't OU just throw a bag at Deuce Gerald's? Deuce Gerald's, of course, outstanding defensive lineman from Sewanee, Georgia. The reason they don't throw a bag at Deuce Gerald's is because, A, that bag would have to be huge, for one thing. And for another thing, Grayson, Deuce Gerald's is only about 6'1", 270 pounds. Incredible player, do not get me wrong. But do you look at a guy like that and think, oh, yeah, that's somebody Jim Nagy will absolutely love?
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But also, here's the thing with 17-year-olds. He still might grow another inch or two.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could look at a guy when it's all said and done who is 6'2.5", 6'3", which is more sizable for a defensive tackle. You could look at it that way. But, yes, he is only 6'1". We say only. We're about to offend a ton of people by saying he's only 6'1".
Sooner Steve in Texas, I think he just came up with the correct answer. Wasn't Robert Barnes from Southlake? That's a good poll. Yeah, class of 2017. Well done. So I guess it has been that long since they signed a scholarship player from Southlake Carroll.
Is Jacob Jordan still not on scholarship?
No, he is on scholarship now, but
okay,
he signed as a preferred walk-on out of high school. There were a couple other texts I wanted to get to, and they keep flying in, which is great. But now I have lost them. Oh, that's right. It was Glenn from Nashville that texted in and said, over the past couple of weeks since we lost the safety to Illinois, Jacob Eberhardt, you guys have been talking a lot about the safety depth chart, but I never hear Michael Boganowski's name mentioned. Where do the defensive coaches see him playing? I keep hearing he's a headhunter, but I don't hear him mentioned as a potential starter. And I think the reason you don't hear him mentioned as a potential starter is because it's pretty crystal clear right now who Oklahoma's starting safeties are going to be. Peyton Bowen at the strong safety position, Robert Spears-Jennings at the free safety position. Your second-team safeties are going to see the field a lot, and Michael Boganowski will be the primary backup to Robert Spears-Jennings. Make no mistake about it. It's probably at this point, it's probably him and Jaden Hardy that are the first two off the bench for Oklahoma at safety. Him and Jaden Hardy. Hardy at the strong, Boganowski at the free. You're going to see a ton of both of those dudes. And Boganowski's name does get mentioned when we talk about the depth chart at safety. But it's mostly the Robert Spears-Jennings and Peyton Bowen show, or at least it should be for Oklahoma at safety in 2025. Assuming all goes according to plan, there are big years on deck for both of those two. And then you get Boganowski and you get Hardy and you get perhaps a guy like Reggie Powers, maybe even an Omarion Robinson, seeing rotational snaps here and there. But Michael Boganowski, you can, if healthy, you can pretty much Sharpie him in as Oklahoma's starting free safety come 2026. And junior and senior year Michael Boganowski is going to be a scary proposition for other programs in the SEC because I do think, and I know this is an opinion within the Switzer Center as well. This is not just me talking. He may have the highest ceiling of any safety that Oklahoma has had on the roster in the last decade. That's how highly they think of Michael Boganowski.
CJ Sooner in Florida has called me the height snob.
Oh, because you used the word midget earlier?
Yeah, and I guess I said we were going to offend people by saying that 6'1" is short. I'm sorry, CJ.
I'm 6'1". I don't feel short. I'm short in comparison to Grayson, but against the rest of the human race, I'm all right in the height department. Above average, one might say. Glenn from Nashville says, just looked at Deuce Gerald's picture and his beard. Dude's not growing 2 more inches. Yeah, he does look like about as much of a grown man as you can be at 17, 18 years old.
That's honestly kind of fair.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Slim Brady says, my one Robert Barnes memory was when Josh Jacobs flat-backed him. Yeah, I think Robert Barnes, if I recall correctly, he actually wrapped up his collegiate career at Colorado, pre-Deion Sanders Colorado. I can't even remember who the head coach at Colorado was before Deion Sanders. But I'm fairly certain that's where Robert Barnes finished up. That was, unfortunately, his most notable moment in an Oklahoma uniform, though, was getting absolutely steamrolled into the turf at Hard Rock Stadium by Josh Jacobs in the 2018 Orange Bowl. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of another fine installment of Locked In.
Why are y'all coming at me, man? Look at the text line.
Dang, they are coming after you. 405-651-3439. Appreciate all of you that have interacted on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line throughout the day. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman are coming up next. The Rush is on the way here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.